day. This is the College Prospects Podcast. It's Coach Donald Watts, and I hope you're doing well. Today, we're going to be talking about some of the things that I believe that the most of us have out of sequence that are trying to get our kids to play college basketball. They're trying to support our kids in the challenge. And I say most of us, but I was pretty intentional about making sure we had our sequence right in my household. And like I said, I got to play college basketball because of the sequence at which we did things. My kids got to play college basketball, full scholarships, all of us, because of the sequence at which we did things. And when I say us, I mean our basketball community. I actually have to exclude myself from this, us, but I'm still a part of the community, the greater community. And so that's what I say when I mean us. And so today's show, we're going to be talking about how you can give your son or daughter the advantage of playing when it comes to being recruited by staying in tune with the proper sequence, running your race, not letting FOMO, fear of missing out, get the best of you. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, I want you to stay tuned while I take a brief second to announce the sponsors of this show, and that is Watts Basketball, wattsbasketball.com, Game Changers for Life, where kids come to take their game to the next level. If you have a son or daughter who is interested in the game at any level, we have programming for you. The other sponsor of the show is the Watts Foundation, who supports kids who have challenges, underprivileged kids, in athletic programming, provides mentorship, academic support for student athletes. If you have a student athlete that you like to get involved or you like to sponsor a student athlete, the wattsfoundation.org is the URL for that. So with that being said, let's get to the meat of the show. A quick little story. This Friday, I took a small group of players who train with me over to watch SPU, a local Division II college practice. And I did SPU. I did the D2 for a reason, to start, just so they can see what a college practice looks like what a college player looks like, and also like how hard they work, how talented they are, and how skilled they are at a level that a lot of people think that they're too good for. And I wanted these our trainees to see and appreciate the amount of commitment, the amount of dedication, the amount of skill set that goes into being a Division II basketball player. All of them say they want to play college basketball, and the majority of kids, when they say they want to play college basketball, they're thinking about North Carolina, Duke, Power 5, be on TV all the time. And there's so many great opportunities to continue to play the game you love, get an education, and go on to play even beyond college between Division III and Gonzaga and Baylor and Kansas. There's so much in between. And if you are serious about even trying to be a Power 5 type player, which I was, and it doesn't work out, then you will land at one of these other terrific opportunities. And I just hope kids will take full advantage of whatever's before them. And I know that players who love the game won't exit the game because they didn't get the school of their dreams. If they get an opportunity to play and get that play paid for and get an education, then by all means, that's the way to go. You've worked for it. You've earned it. Take advantage of it. Don't turn your nose up at the lower levels of college basketball because they're high-level basketball. And that's what our our trainees saw in their visit, in their practice visit, watching and studying practice. And so when we're there, there's a senior, under recruited senior who can shoot the ball, and he's played AAU, he's done all the stuff, and in the middle of this practice, he's been on the road, they've invested all this time, money, and energy. In the middle of the practice, I turned around and I looked at him and I said, "How many college practices have you watched before?" And he's a senior, done all the stuff. And he looks back at me, he says, this one. And I look back at him and say, "Ooh, we've been training now for a couple months." But I said, "Do you think this would have been helpful before you went on the road? Like when you're trying to attract attention and offers and opportunities from college coaches, do you think that?" He was like, "Oh man, this would have been so helpful." Well, how would it have been helpful? Well, it would have been helpful because it probably would have changed the way he worked out, the things that he worked on, the intensity at which he worked, and what he was trying to accomplish when he was playing in those tournaments, right? So one of the things that we do that's completely out of sequence is we invest a lot of time, money, energy trying to get exposure from college coaches, trying to be a college basketball player without even sitting down and taking the time to know what college basketball looks like, to know what a college basketball player looks like, to know what they work like, to know how they communicate with teammates, to understand how they overcome challenges, to know how they utilize screens, to know how you apply your individual skills to a game to show a college coach that you can do it on their level, right? So for me, that's it's the easiest thing, and it's completely out of sequence. Now, by going to this practice, what did we do? Well, he shook hands with the coach, looked the coach in the eye. The coach knows his name. The assistant coach already knew his Twitter handle. So that the school is watching to a degree. So boom, check. That's exposure. If you're doing what you're doing in your high school and in your AAU situation in a way that shows them that that it translates to their level, and they have a need for your position, then they're looking. If they're not talking, that means you're not quite doing it right. You're not quite doing it good enough. So that's what I mean about the sequence of exposure. You just personally introduced yourself to a coach. Then you want to try to get into the open gyms, right? You want to get to their elite camps. They had an elite camp last summer. You want to do those kind of things before you go just cast this wide net, showing up at AAU tournaments, hoping that somebody sees you. So that's the exposure sequence. But the thing that people really get out, and this kid is good. He's very skilled, but he would have had a much better focus on how he should be working and what he should be working on skill-wise, which is the number one thing in the sequence. If you don't have the skill set, you don't have a chance. If you don't have the skills or the size or the athleticism or some combination of those things, you don't have the chance. And so getting a college translatable skills, working on those things is not first and foremost, but is right after the first step, which is falling in love with the work. Like teaching players to love work is what's required to be successful at the college level, like to love work. And so you think about it, a lot of players love games. Oh, we play here, the excitement, the thrill. A lot of players don't like working their craft. Well, when I walked into the gym for a 3 o'clock practice, I walked into the gym at 2:15, and at 2:15, there were 3 guys working with a coach, getting work, practice. They were practicing for practice. And 2 of those 3 guys really had really great practices. So what I just said is something that you want to make sure that you're player is doing, first, they love it. They love working on their craft as much or more than they love playing in games. They practice for practice. They practice so they have great practices and can dominate practices and earn a role. And their teammates know that when they get in the game, they're supposed to be the ones with the ball in their hands making plays for everybody. So those are the love of training. So think about this. How many games, ask yourself this question, how many games will your player play, your son or daughter play this year? Oftentimes it's hundreds in year-round basketball. My son and daughter are playing college basketball on scholarship. They're at school all, damn near year-round, training all the time, and they will play maybe 160 games in their college career. Right? So what are they doing all that other? They're working. And a lot of the transfer portal, a lot of the kids that go to college and it doesn't work out is because they don't love that aspect of it. They don't love the work. They don't love the challenges. They don't love the grind. They don't know how to overcome those things. They're not patient with the work. They're not willing to battle a guy that's 3 or 4 years older than them, a guy or girl that's 3 or 4 years older than them for their position and playing time. And at the same time as they're battling them, they're learning from them, embracing the challenge and the struggles that are college basketball, in embracing your teammates, learning how to be the type of player that has a game that fits with others. It's a huge thing, that fits with others. And if you're the star player, which is the situation in high school and on your AAU team, you're not necessarily fitting with others. You're lifting others up. That's how you get to the next level, by making people around you better. But then when you get to the next level, that's not going to be your role immediately. You have to work so hard and grind so hard to put yourself back in that position. And during that time, you want to be productive as a player that fits and works within the system, within the plays that are running, within the other players that are on the court. That's how this thing works. And there's a sequence and there's a process to learning it. And it all boils down to being more about your craft than you are about clout. It all boils down to loving being in the gym with no cameras and no likes and no retweets, more than you are seeking those things. So in closing, beware of your sequence. Run your race. The time for you to be on the top AAU program flying around the country is not the same time for everybody else. The timing is so critical, and the timing is based on where you're at physically, your maturity, where you're at in your skill set, where you're at in your knowledge and understanding of the things that it takes to translate. College basketball season is starting right now. Encourage your kids to watch the games. Hit me up. I have a game report where they can fill out what they noticed in the game, about the game. This is the first key, the first step in training as a college basketball player, is really watching high-level basketball and figuring out what the most successful people in your position are doing, and then going to the gym and working on that and towards that. So few people get the chance to play college basketball like I did. So few people have the success that I had in college basketball, playing in the NCAA tournament as the MVP, lifting their team. That's and having to go through the struggles and, all kind of things to get there. So few people have that experience. So many people are trainers. They have a ball, they have a cone, and it's like, hey, if you just want to play and have some fun and then work with anybody, right? Do your magical drills and patterns that are supposed to make the defense disappear. But if you're trying to play at the next level, find somebody who can really help you understand what it takes. And if you don't have somebody close to you, everybody doesn't have somebody close to you, your rural towns and stuff like that. There's a college close by. Start studying what they're doing. Start studying what the players are doing. If you're a high school player, try to lock in with a college dude and get in the gym with him and get that workout. And it's the best thing you can do to give yourself an opportunity to play at the next level. I put mentors, college mentors, around my son and daughter. That's one of the beautiful things about what I did and what I do. When you work out with us, we don't just go in our teams. Our college prospects will be in the gym with our 7th and 8th graders, 6th, 7th, 8th graders who aren't ready to be college prospects, but they're seeing how those guys work. And so you're seeing in real life what, a Miles Carter who played at Seattle U, who's playing overseas now. You're seeing in real life what Isaiah Watts did and had to go through on a daily basis in order to become a high major prospect and finally get a scholarship to Washington State University. You're seeing the trials and tribulations, the struggles of Jaden Watts, who's at Western Washington University. Those guys had A.J. Edwards, who was at Yale. They had Abby Rathman, who played at the University of San Francisco. They had Marianne Santucci at Yale. They have all these players, CC West, SPU, and so they were in the gym with those. So they got the advantage because when those college kids came home, they saw the work they were doing, the dedication, how they lived in the summers, and they gave that back to them. So that's my advice for today. Get your sequence right. Run your race. Figure out how to be in the right places at the right time, not try to be where everybody else is at all the time. Peace, love, basketball. See you in the gym. Descriptions, details, how to get with us is in the descriptions of the show. Please hit that like, subscribe button. Leave us a review. I'm Coach Watts. Peace, love, basketball. I'll see you in the lab.